Hi everyone, this is Kevin, one of the Climb and Flow coaches for the Climb and Flow podcast. This is the 11th episode, and in today's episode, I'll be interviewing somebody called Dan Robinson. He's not a climber, he's a marathon runner, a two-time Olympian, and has got a very inspiring story. So keep listening, and hope you guys like it.
So tell me, where did you grow up, Dan?
Grew up locally, Gloucestershire, born in Cheltenham, grew up in Bisley, Bussage, and then moved to Nailsworth. I think I was about 18. And then I went away, I was away at boarding school actually in university, and then met Jess, my wife, and then sort of, like a lot of people actually, moved back. It's a nice place to be, so we moved back.
Yeah. Okay. So what sports did you do when you were younger?
I was quite sporty. I
Really?
mean, it was kind of, football, hockey, cricket, team sports really. Always quite good at cross country, probably in the team, but again, sort of being on the smaller side, it was cross country. It's often the sort of bigger, stronger guys that do it. People just say, "Oh, you're small, you'll float across the mud," but it often is not the case. It's kind of the stronger. So it wasn't until later I found road running was my thing, but in those days it was just team sports and school really.
Okay, so like football and
I was at Bow Desert where I now teach actually, so it's kind of football, rugby not so much, but cricket and hockey.
Okay, so cricket and hockey were your main sports?
I'd say they were. I'd say cricket and football probably.
Cricket and football.
Yeah, and I was okay. I wasn't outstanding, but I love them. Still do.
Yeah, still play football.
I did play a few years for the Horsley Veterans, which was quite fun. It's not as much fun as it sounds. The veterans are over 35 now. I'm 50. It's kind of like so they're still younger, but it's just that feeling of being part of a team, having done an individual sport, just being the social side of it really. Having been part of a team again, just for a little, even if it's at that level, I did quite enjoy it. Yeah.
So. You ran for Great Britain in the Olympics and Commonwealth Games. How did you get into running if you weren't a runner?
No, I think my story is a little bit different because it wasn't until I was 23, 24. It was after university. Like a lot of people, quite an unhealthy, fun, but quite an unhealthy time. So I put on a bit of weight. Wasn't really doing anything. I thought I would join a football team, so I joined the team. I was living in London, in Wimbledon, and being small, I thought the only way I'm going to do anything here is if I've got to be the fittest person on the pitch. So it's then let's join the gym, let's try and get fit. I joined the local gym, and I just found the treadmill. And I went from being pretty unfit to. I think my training for the first year was I'd probably go 4 or 5 times a week and just run for 45 minutes as fast as I could, and that was it. And I got really fit. My football was okay, but not brilliant. And I think one of the instructors said, "Why don't you enter? There's a Wimbledon 10k next week. Why don't you enter it? Because you've got quite a nice running style. You look like She see me there, and that was it. Entered the Wimbledon 10k. I think I won it, and that was it.
Okay.
So it's quite a kind of story from no running on a treadmill, probably 6 months to a year to
entering a
comp and then going from there, and then you once you're in the running world, you're into the world. You find out where the races are, and and it's
you go with it.
You go with it.
Yeah.
And the progression was kind of really quick. Actually, you obviously had some. I'm not the my times were nothing special, but the progression with running was quite. Quite severe.
So what motivated you to want to run like super quick?
Well, I don't know. It's like anything, isn't it? When it's hard, but when it's going well, you just forget about, do I really want to get up and go to the gym or go for a run? But we were living in Wimbledon Village, and Wimbledon Common is a great place to run, and people run. You go out the door, and people were running on the common. People were going to the gym. It was quite a good environment.
Okay.
It was kind of after university. Motivation was kind of there. I had no aspirations of doing anything other than just getting fit for football.
Okay.
And so I think I was kind of for 10 kilometres was about 32 minutes, which was a good club time, and then it went, and then my times went down.
Okay.
But I didn't find a marathon although I did do the marathon. I did the London Marathon. I think 98 or 99. I ran 2 hours 38. And
2 hours 38.
Just from running 5 times a week, 40 minutes as fast as I could. So that made me think maybe there is, because that's quite a good club time.
Yeah. So
for someone who run for a year and hadn't done anything really.
So were there people kind of telling you that was a good time, or did you realise
they
yourself?
were, yeah, but it was a great time because I turned up in football kit, football socks. It's the bet, it's the bet. Being the underdog is always runners who train, and I just ran 2:38. So that was kind of, and then I went 2:38. The next year I ran 2:24 with a bit more training, and then the next year after that 2:17. So within 3 years I got to 2:17, and then I did Steck for a while because that's a good time, but it's not making GB teams or.
So what kind of time do you need for GB teams?
So I ran 2:11, but my bet or 2:12, but you need, I think, for the 2004 Olympics, the qualifying criteria was you run the London Marathon. If the first 2 British athletes across the line qualify for the Olympics, provided they had the qualifying time, which was under 2:15 at the time.
Okay.
And there was one guy in the field who was 4th in the Sydney Olympics 4 years earlier, who was going to qualify. So he did, and there was probably, I reckon there was 15, 20 of us guys who are on my sort of level who thought, we've got a chance here.
Okay.
I was second Brit, ran 2:13 and qualified for the Olympics. So it was,
wow.
That was kind of the breakthrough.
Okay.
And that was 2004, and that still felt quite early on in my career. Really, I'd only been running probably 3 or 4 years at that point.
So how old were you then?
So I was 29 in 2004. So it's kind of 5. So 24. Yeah, so 5 years from starting to that level. I was lucky. 2:13 is a good time, but it's not a world class time. So, if the criteria was 2:11, 2:10, I don't think I wouldn't have done it. But it was a weaker era in British marathon running. But that I didn't care about that. I was running the Olympic. It's kind of so things aligned, timing wise, that made it achievable. And that was kind of like, wow, I can do it.
But 29, that's quite...
29, yeah.
That's quite... I know it's quite late, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... But then, a lot of the guys I was running with did start at 15, 16, and by 29, 30, were kind of on the way out. They were had done it for 15 years.
Yeah.
Were probably as good as they're ever going to be. Whereas starting at 24 probably didn't help my track times or my speed work. But with marathon running, it's mental. It's not about the speed. It's the mental resilience, which I did not have at 21, but I did at 31, sort of thing.
Okay.
Maybe the marathon, it probably helped.
Yeah.
But with probably shorter distances, track, it
doesn't help.
It doesn't help.
Okay.
Quite so much. But everyone's different, aren't they? With it's mental. It's getting your head around. This is what I've got to do. And at 30, I think I had it. Or 29.
Okay. So what do you see as mental resilience? What helped you?
It's being tough. It's when the time it's that last with the marathon. It's they say it's a 20-mile run, and then a 10k race. So you've got to get to 20 miles with as little damage done as possible. And what have you got left for that last 10k? That's tough. And everyone at 20 miles plus, everyone is hurting. Everyone is tired.
Yeah.
It's can you be the one who's coming through, overtaking, not the one that's falling to pieces and shuffling to the finish. It's toughness. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because it's not just about the race day. It's about the 3 or 4 months building up to the race. But it's the preparation. It's the hundreds of miles you do in training.
But it's uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's Again, that's probably comes with a little bit older. You can cope with that a bit better.
Well, not everyone can.
No, not everyone can. No. It's being uncomfortable for a couple of hours and then really uncomfortable for the last 20 minutes. And,
Yeah, I mean, like I've done a bit of running, and wife used to run, and I went out with a run with her once, and never again, because as soon as she gets to a hill, she's sped up. And I'm like, lungs are burning, legs are burning. I'm like, I can't do this. No. What am I doing? So I started slowing down.
Yeah, but running around here. When I moved back in London, there weren't any hills. So when I moved back here, I was terrible on the hills, and then within a year, that was my strength. Because where you live, you get used to the terrain, don't you? It's like endurance, like cycling as well. You know, so it's, you know, that you can't get away from hills around there. So I did get good. I didn't never really like them, but I got good at them. And then, but a lot of the marathon courses, they don't have many hills. They are quite flat because they're the faster times. So their Athens Olympics, that was a hill. And that helped.
So how do you deal with, like I know a lot of runners, maybe cyclists, but definitely runners talk about the pain cave. Like, I think there's a famous runner, I can't remember her full name, but I think her surname's Dowalter.
Okay.
And she talks about the pain cave and kind of, like, when she trains, she kind of pokes her head in it and then learns to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and then builds that up over time.
Which is completely true. I mean, I looked at it as, you know, I'm on the start line with 100% energy. How am I going to spread my effort over the race? It's so easy to go off too hard. You get to halfway feeling good, but you get 20 miles and you're gone. So I mean, you know, in the Olympics and the World Champs and the Commonwealth, I mean, I never went out saying I'm going to win. I'm going to try and get a medal. I think one of my best runs in the World Championships in Japan in 2007, I came 11th, but it was a 10k loop course. So four I think 80th after the first lap. Second lap I was 50th. And then 30th, and then came through to 11th. So I no ego. I'm going to try, see what I can do. I reckon I can come in the top 20. But the best way of doing that is not going off with the leaders. It's working through. But when you speak to some people about that, it's like, that's quite a negative. You know, how can you be on the start line and not try and win? I was like, with the best will in the world, I'm not going to be world champion. I'm not going to be Olympic champion. My best chance of doing well is starting back, working through, not worrying about the time, just to overtake the next person. And So it's kind of it's going into that pain cave, but it's managing it. And no, I'm out here for 2 hours 15 or whatever. This is what I need to do.
Do you know what? Do you know what that is? So no expectation. See, like a lot of people go into a sport performance with an expectation. But that expectation adds pressure. And when that that pressure can mean that people might not perform as well. So
I mean, that's very true. I mean, I would get more nervous for the local 5k in Stroud than I would for the World Champs, because in Stroud everyone would know me. I'm expected to win, break the course record. Win by half a mile. In the World Champs, I came 11th, but knowing if I came 21st or 31st, I would have cared. But really, so it's that expectation as well from outside as well. So I was on the start line feeling relaxed because I knew what I was going to do. I had a plan. I was going to stick to it. I didn't have to shake hand, go off and win and and break any records, because it wasn't going to happen. So it's a different. But that was the other mentality as well. The bigger the race, kind of the less pressure in a way.
You put on yourself.
I knew what I was going to do. I wanted to beat the other British guys and be as competitive as I can, and maybe the other European. But it was managing it.
And
then perform. But you've got to go out and do it. You had to. That was 3 months of really, really hard training. So I had that confidence as well.
But I guess you focused on yourself and not what other people were doing. And that's more difficult when I think some of the GB races there's a team of 3 and then sometimes 5, and that's quite tough because you wish them well, the other British guys, but I did want to beat them, but maybe sometimes you don't quite run your own race because you know them and you know their strengths, you know their sort of thing. So it's a different dynamic. So you might get distracted with their running times and keep up with them,
or each other, and should we push them? You might do things that you wouldn't always do. So that was quite interesting. I found that was later on actually, but So what was your training like? Quite old school, I would say. I mean, it was basically I ran for 12 years, 100 miles a week. Sometimes I just run as fast as I could, how I felt on that day. So not scientific initially, or any really specific speed sessions, but it was. I did happen. Then I met my coach Chris a couple of years in, Chris Rapwell, and he was great. So because it wasn't a problem with motivation with me, because I was 24, I was 25. I was here because I wanted to do it. So it was a case of probably more holding me back and working out what the really key runs of the week were, and then when in the week to do them. So my really, big long run, 20 miles, 23, 4 miles, I wanted to do it quite hard, fast. But I probably need a day or two easy before that, leading up to that, and a day or two afterwards. So, so he was very good at kind of, right, let's do this speed session on a Tuesday, then you want to, and sort of structuring the week like that. So it was, that's when I ran my best, when I did those really confidence boosting sessions, run 2 hours, 2.5 hours around here over the hills, quite hard. That really did give me confidence. But what I got better at was recovery. It would take, especially as I was into my 30s, it would take a day or two to recover before I could then run hard again. So it's making my easy runs easy and my hard runs hard was the trick, because I did get to a stage where I was training about the same. My speed sessions, everything was fine. I was fit, but I didn't have that sharpness. With which you do get with your body needs to recover from the hard sessions and adapt to it. So I got better at that. And actually, I don't think, being a smaller runner, I did run 130 miles a week sometimes, but I think I was at my best at around 90 to 100 miles a week. Where I could still feel fresh-ish, but not, but still got those long runs in, and the key sort of marathon pace sessions as well, and the faster sessions at 5k, 10k pace as well.
So how many sessions is 80 or 90 miles?
So I train 13 times a week. I train twice a day and then once on a Sunday. So it's kind of,
twice a day?
Yeah, I probably do a 5 mile run, 5 mile in the morning, 10 at night, 5:10, 5:10, something like that.
Bloody hell.
And then 20 odd miles, so that's 100 odd. 15 miles a day is about 100 miles, and then a long run at the weekends, 105, 110, sometimes a bit more.
Okay, so the long run would be how many miles?
Probably 18 to 24.
Okay, so you never run the full 26?
No, I did actually. I did on the treadmill actually once.
Yeah.
I just thought, would it give me, just for my own? I did a bit longer. Did about 27 miles, just so I can do it.
Yeah.
I can run a marathon. But actually, then you're thinking, did I just run my best race in training, or, But I suppose if it did help me, then it probably, psychologically, then it probably did help. But I just physically, it took away.
Yeah.
There's probably a reason why people do their long, limit their long runs to around 20 miles, 22 miles, because on race day you're rested, you're fueled properly, you've eased down your training, the adrenaline's going. I don't know.
Which helps.
Yeah, it does help. But the thing with training, and in everything, isn't it? And that's why we love it. What works for some people doesn't work for everyone. Everyone adapts to the training differently.
Yeah.
So I reckon probably learnt too late that I didn't need to do that really, really big mileage. I reckon 90 would be about perfect for me.
But I guess it sounds like you kept track.
Yeah, but I'm an endurance athlete. If 100 miles is good, 150 must be better.
That's of course.
That's where I was.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So 100, if I do 150, that's which is not right, but that's the mentality that endurance athletes have. So I did that try, and I didn't,
But I guess it gets to a certain point, right? Like you have the physical fitness and the physical ability, and then I guess, like you're saying, it doesn't sound like you need to train the full distance.
No.
Like you mentioned earlier, it's kind of mental toughness and resilience that comes into play.
It's mental toughness, and it's, I guess, like a lot of us, I would probably revert to the things I like and am good at. So a hilly 10 miler, I love that. I'll go and do that. But actually, what do I need? I need to work on I need to go to the track and run some 200s or 400s, which I'm not so good at, but that would help.
What, meters?
Yeah, meters. Yeah. So I mean, because there's lots of ways of training for the marathon. I would probably do it more old school, just the mileage. But some of the guys would do really, really intense sessions. So they got really, really fast at 5k, 10k, so that the marathon pace seems easy. Which I did train a bit like that. But provided you're getting your long runs in as well, it's a balance.
Okay. So you found what works for you.
I found what works for me. Well, you never know, do you, when you finish the way you got the most out of yourself.
Yeah, of course.
Being unhealthy until 24 and then training very, very hard to 35.
Yeah.
I did all right, but I mean, my times weren't world class at all. But my, bronze medal in the Commonwealth Games, 12th and 11th in the World Champs, 2 Olympics is a good championship record. So and also as I was saying earlier about being not a great era for marathon running, because I could make the teams for GB, I didn't necessarily have to really, really try and run those fast times. I'd have loved a faster time, but I would have loved to run for GB in the European Champs or World Champs more. So that's just how how your career is your career, isn't it? You make decisions at the time that you think
are the right decisions.
And now I'm thinking, that was all right.
Could I?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't, But then, if someone has said at 23 you'd run into Olympics, I wouldn't have believed them, and I'd have taken it. So I don't have many regrets really.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty cool, right?
Well, I know. I mean, 23rd, 22nd is okay, but but running it, going there was qualifying was good. Yeah.
So your training, you ran 5 miles in the morning, 10 miles in the evening, 6 days a week, plus a long run. That's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah. That is. Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah. But that's what it takes, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's what I could do in my late 20s, early 30s. But I wonder what how. Although people are running, marathon runners are getting younger. So I just wonder, it's quite a boring existence. You've got to drink enough water. You've got to go to bed early. You've got to eat right. It's it's rest.
Yeah.
Whatever. Rest, eat, sleep, train, repeat, isn't it? It's quite a. So hats off to Jess for putting up with that in her 20s and 30s as well.
So,
but as I was saying, it's like when it's going well, you put up with it. When you're ill or injured, and it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I wish I was in an office doing, but you soon get over that.
So you were working at the time?
Yeah, part time. Yeah, I was still up at teaching in a local school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
which then they were the head of sport actually was an old athlete, so he kind of got what I needed to train and when to rest and what so he was very and the school had been supportive actually, so that was helpful.
And Jess was obviously very supportive.
Jess was very supportive, amazing. And it kind of
because we never see the people behind the scenes, do we?
No, exactly. Coming back, it's all very well. It was a nice trip to Athens to watch the Olympics, but like you say, what about the 3 or 4 months beforehand when I was training and going to bed at 9 o'clock, whatever? Exactly. So that
and just preparing food for you, making sure that
When you're 28, it's like, what have I signed up for? But then quite soon, towards the middle end of my career, then the kids came along, and that kind of had a different focus again.
So how old's your eldest?
So he's nearly 17. So
17, right, okay.
Nearly, 16, 17. So it's kind of...
so they were born...
2008, just before the... the due date was the day of the men's Olympic marathon.
Of course.
10 days late. So August the 24th, 2008 was his due date. So that was strange, being away, because we went to... I don't remember in Beijing, they were very worried about the pollution for the endurance athletes. They were, I know they shut the industries and it was fine, but they... So we were in the holding camp in Macau near Hong Kong for 3 weeks before the race to sort of get acclimatised to the weather. But because they were worried about the pollution. We were flown in literally the night before the marathon, stayed in Beijing, ran the marathon, and flew home. So my Olympic experience in Beijing was literally a day in Beijing or 2 days, and then so it was quite strange.
And where was Jess?
Jess was here. She couldn't travel. I know.
I bet that was stressful.
I know, that was. And it was. It wasn't my best one. I guess. It's just
distracted, right? You weren't acclimatised and distracted. No. Yeah, because baby's due.
Yeah. It was not. But you just, Jess was brilliant, and just got to go with it, and but no, not ideal.
Yeah, she was like, right, down, off you go.
But and then in the end, he was 10 days late, so it was fine. But
okay.
It's it's all part of it.
So a lot of sacrifice.
Yes, exactly. Jess as well. Well, more probably. I was living my dream.
And then I think I had a brief chat with you previously. So what kind of support, so apart from Jess, what kind of support did you have? Because I think, like most people would imagine, people enter the Olympics to have a whole team of people behind them supporting them.
No, I didn't. There was Jess and my parents and family, and Chris, my coach. The London Marathon organisers were really good actually. During so in 2004 and 2008, they were quite generous with appearance money and kind of a bursary that they gave me to go away. Although I didn't go away training, but for that I could maybe step back a bit from work and and devote those 3 months to training. So and UK Athletics were good. I had a again similar sort of bursary. I also had I had sponsored with ASICS and Adidas, so they were quite generous as well.
Okay.
And kind of it's not it's not big figures, but it's kind of the shoes, the odd time bonus here and there, appearance fee. So it kind of worked during those years when I was at my best, I would say.
So was that enough to sustain?
And yes, it was. But it takes 4 years to get there. 4 years of doing okay, and then 4 years when you're on the way down.
Yeah.
So it was it's you're not doing it for financial reasons, of course.
Yeah.
But during those times when I was at my best, it was
Yeah.
It certainly helped.
So you just mentioned the financial bonuses. Do you get from Adidas or?
Yeah. So you get I think it was fairly basic on kit sponsorship when you need it, kit and trainers and things. But if you make a GBT, well, there's a little bonus there. If you run a certain time, there's a bit more. If you do our ASIC sponsored race in wherever, there's something. So it was kind of
Did that add pressure?
It possibly made me enter races where I didn't need them necessarily, because you think, I could do with a bit of cash.
Yeah, okay.
But in this stage of my training, I'm not really sure I should be doing it, but you'd probably do it.
Yeah, okay.
So in an ideal world, some of the races I wouldn't have done, and some I would. But it was, it's all, it's great to have that support. And I certainly needed it. So
yeah. Could you have done with more?
No, I think to be fair, with my level, I think for my sub-elite level, whatever it was fairly generous.
Sub-elite level.
Well,
I mean, come on.
Times.
I mean, like
before the trainers, I'll give myself that. But it was,
I think to run the Olympics and come 11th.
11th in the world championship.
11th in the world. 11th.
Yeah.
Fastest person to run a marathon. That's out of 6 billion people. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so when you put it like that, but it's kind of like when you turn up to the Berlin Marathon. There's all the. I mean, no, Kenyans and Ethiopians are amazing. I love them, but it was they're down the road.
Yeah.
So it was it was a privilege to be on the start line with them. But you just try and be competitive, and like I said before, run your own race and run to your strengths, whatever.
So what was that like when you entered your first Olympics and you were there and on the starting line, looking around, going, "What am I doing here?"
Yeah, basically. It was Athens, and it was amazing because it was run in the evening because it was so hot. Athens in August is not a great place to run.
Yeah.
So I think we started about 6, and it's uphill for the first sort of 20 miles really gradually, and then it's 10k down into Athens. So it was incredible. It was getting dark. You're running the famous Marathon to Athens course where it all started, and then finishing in the old stadium when they had the Panathinaikos Stadium, and it was incredible. It was dark when we finished, so it was the atmosphere was incredible, and also obviously being in a race like that with everyone. Oh, I know you. You're exactly.
You're that famous person.
Yeah, exactly. This was like there's a bit of footage where I do start pretty near the back. I thought I'm going to have to just work my way through here. I'm going to have to hold back because this is hot.
Yeah.
And the week before, Paula Ratcliffe was due to the women's marathon. I think it was even hotter for their race, and she was favourite, but she was injured and she didn't manage to finish. So that was kind of like, well, this is if Paula, because she was unbelievable at that. She was best in the world record holder, incredible. So it kind of put, well, this is going to be quite a tough evening for us.
So did it help starting at the back?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Again, no pressure, right?
Exactly. Especially on that first one.
Yeah.
You are just you don't go now. I'm here to make up the numbers, but you kind of I'm going to have to play it safe.
I'm from Nailsworth.
Yeah, I know. I went trading on the bicycle track. This is not. So it was strange, but kind of when the race starts, it's a race. You just crack on and and the other there were 3 of us British guys. One guy came 4th, John Brown. So he was in training with him. Again, we were in a holding camp. We were in Cyprus for 3 weeks before the race, and it was amazing to train with him.
Yeah.
Because he'd done it before. He was 4th in Sydney, and then 4th in Athens. So
Yeah.
that is, to be able to perform to that level in 2 Olympics was amazing. So it was great for me to train with him. So I let him do his thing, and then I worked my way through. Yeah.
And then got hopefully close to.
Well, I was 20. I think I was 23rd in that one.
Yeah.
And then 4 years later, all those thousands of miles, I was 22nd in Beijing. So I got
Okay.
but I mean, you know, that's how it is. It's a pretty competitive. People up there going for the Olympics. I know I was 11th in the world champs, and there was some amazing runners there. But I think the Olympics, people do, you know, prepare because it's special.
Yeah,
really.
and I guess the training schedule for some of these guys is going to be quite intense, right? I guess if you look at the Ethiopians, my guess is that they probably train a lot, and maybe have a more support network around them than you juggling a job and going out for a couple of runs.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's lots of things, aren't there? Their probably level of determination, and there's probably dozens and dozens of them at my level or better. So they can, you know, so what it takes to get on the plane to Europe is to be you've probably got to be a world-class athlete before you even leave. So that, you know, there's that, and it's there, you know, so that they have that level of motivation, determination,
hunger,
that I could probably hard for me to replicate. You know, just middle-class boy from Gloucestershire is quite determined, but I probably can't be as determined as
those guys.
Really.
Yeah,
it's probably not something I could.
I guess maybe for them, for some athletes, Ethiopian athletes, is it? I don't know, like not knowing much about sport. I guess maybe it's their body makeup, but maybe it's also to do with for them, it's an escapism out of moving into more wealth, moving into maybe that hunger. I guess to replicate that would be quite tough, right?
I mean, it's you know, they are fantastic, and they were, you know, incredible runners and brilliant people. But as you say, they get to Europe and have 2 good years. That's set up for life. I thought, or with, you know, I don't know, but I mean, it means huge. It means a huge amount to them. Which is So that's another aspect as well.
Okay. And you mentioned recovery. Like you're obviously very aware of your recovery.
Yeah, but you get better as you get older, don't you? And it's kind of.
I don't know. I don't.
Do you know? No, I don't know how well I did either. But you kind of, as you get running into my 30s, like I need to have another day easy running before I do that track session or that hill session or whatever. And it was also recovery. I think that's another good thing of having kind of putting in a build up, putting in a 10k race or a half marathon. It just makes you that week or half week before the race just ease down a bit, just sort of, so you are slightly rested going into those build up races. So you're having to build up, then you have a little rest, and then you try and get to race day in the marathon there. You kind of, it's how you get there. You can't just go like that. You've got to have that rest.
So you quite tune into your own body.
You do, you do. And I'm not sure if I was great at that. It was kind of like just starting. I just, you know, because you can cope with it. I want to run as far, you know, 5 miles as fast as I can. If I feel good this morning, I'll run a bit faster. If I just feel tired, I'll run a bit slower. And that's sort of probably the right thing to do. It's about listening to your body. But it's, you know, it's not that scientific or.
But I think that's quite a good thing.
You know best, don't you, when you wake up?
Of course you do.
When you wake up, you kind of know how you're feeling, really. You get better at that.
Yeah, well, I don't. My motivation is usually much higher and I tend to not listen to my body. Because, when it comes to climbing, I'm always excited and motivated to want to climb, and I'm like, I'm tired, I'll go away, I'll be fine.
And often it does. But then, you know, sometimes it doesn't.
I mean, so one of the other coaches that I work with, Emma Twyford, she's really, really good at listening to her body, and she climbs at a super, super high level. And I think that's one thing that I need to work on and learn.
Really? You can always learn.
I know. But I can't sit still.
No. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, you how you are is how you are. And that's probably what made me run well, and it held me back. You know, it's it probably can be a strength and a weakness, can't it?
Yeah.
You know, what makes you really, really good and motivated can also, if you goes the wrong over the top, it can hold you back.
Of course, yeah. So, what do you enjoy, or did you enjoy about running?
I mean, it's like anything, isn't it? When it goes well, you sort of forget about the cold February grim mornings when you wake up. I've got to get out there. I guess being successful, you know, I loved it. I love running now, and I did then. But the feeling when you come back from a run now, I go out because I want to, not because I have to. It's just a nice feeling, isn't it? That, you know, but then when that fatigue level that I had when I was running 100 miles a week, took that away a little bit. That enjoyment of it. It's how I'm feeling. I'm going to get through that run, then I got to rest and do that. So enjoyment, yes. But less so than when I go running now.
Okay.
I don't have to go running, but if it's a nice day, I'll go for a run. It's kind of.
So why did you go running? Because it sounds like did you have a love for it?
I did.
Yeah.
And I realised. I think I met Jed. Let's move back to Gloucester. Let's give the running a couple. This was 24, 20. Yeah. Let's give the running a couple of years. Let's see where it goes. And that was a great time because the improvement was still there.
Yeah.
And I was, I was I ran for Gloucester, then I ran for England, and then Great Britain. So it was all happening. So the enjoyment was there. I think I did enjoy it, but then I think I never really I never went away on training camps or trained with other people. I guess possibly that's coming into it late.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my friends were maybe at Loughborough University on an athletic scholarship, so they would train as a group, and it was all, they'd done it quite in that way for quite a long time. I did it from a totally different, starting at 23, just running on my own. Yes, for enjoyment, but just to get fit initially. Yeah. It's just a different way in.
Yeah.
I think possibly the enjoyment slightly waned as I went on, because I'd made GB teams at Olympics and World Champs, so I was kind of the one that the next people were trying to
beat. So
that's not the nicest. It gives you motivation. It gave me motivation to try really hard and try and hold them off as long as I could. But it's it's a bit more stressful.
Tiring.
Tiring mentally. It is, because you're the one they want to get. So it's a different mentality, and that happened quite quickly. So I was went from underdog to the one that they were aiming at within 3 or 4 years. That was that took some getting used to. I'm not sure I did it brilliantly, but it's just how it how it was.
So when did you stop running competitively?
I think 2000. I think if the Olympics weren't in London 2012, I was 37 then. I'd have retired gracefully. A couple of years. I just thought, because it was London, I felt I had to at least have a go at qualifying. And I didn't. I was quite a long way short. So my last, I think 2010, 2011, I think was my last marathon run. So a long time ago. I just thought I just didn't have the. It was motivation to do it. We'd had 3 kids. The kids were here. It was different. I felt like I was a slightly different stage of my life. I'd kind of done. Because I'd run into Olympics, maybe that motivation wasn't there. Even I thought, if I can't motivate myself to really go for it, even when the Olympics were in London, which would have been amazing and was amazing for the British athletes, then let's just leave it. So that was kind of it. Body probably told me that was.
Okay.
I mean, they sort of say, I think generally you may only have 8 good marathons in.
So 2012, trying to work out. So you were 37. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And that's probably pushing it. Lots of people finish earlier, and some finish later. But
pushing it really, I don't
37 now seems absolutely
young, right?
To be 37 now. But at the time, I've got a lot of miles in my leg. I've got 12 years of 100 miles in my legs. I could. But
I reckon if you didn't have the distraction of all the responsibility for children and the pressure of that, then I guess you could have, right?
It was probably physically, it was probably still there. But it, I just felt, Anyway, I went to watch a few times and it was brilliant. But it would have been I think it was amazing. From speaking to my mates, it was, home Olympics.
Yeah, of course.
But,
yeah.
I'd have given up one. I think I'd have given up Athens or Beijing to run in London.
Okay, not one child.
No.
No.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And do you still run now?
Rarely.
Rarely. Okay.
Maybe once a week. I kind of.
So you've gone from like running loads.
Yeah.
To.
It was gradual to running anywhere. I mean, I try and do some exercise. I mean, I'm a PE and games teacher.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of getting my steps in, active. Yeah, I do a little workout probably most days, and I'm running around with doing my games lessons. So I feel like I'm still
keeping fit.
But nothing is when I do go for a run. It's nothing. You can't really beat that feeling, and that's what what I love about running. You can put your trainers on wherever you are. You can be out, and an hour later you come back and you've had a great workout. And so nothing compares to running. I just don't really really do it that often.
Don't have the motivation.
For whatever reason, long distance walking seems to be my thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm into kind of multi-day.
Okay.
It's getting the time. It's the time. So it's not really, it's once or twice a year I go off for 2 or 3 days and go to the lakes or do the West Highland Way or Dale, whatever. And so that seems to be what I'm going towards. But Jess might have something to say about that if I.
Okay. I find it find it strange that you like I guess as a climber, like any chance I'll go climbing. Always super motivated.
Yeah.
At the moment, I can't see me not wanting to do it.
No.
So is it because you just did so much of it?
Maybe.
And too much?
No, I don't know if it is. Maybe it's running around here. I remember, when I do go for the runs on my old routes, I'm like, I used to be at this lamppost 6 minutes 50.
Right, okay.
10 minutes 10. What?
Yeah, okay.
What happened? So, my best runs, and now obviously don't take a watch, go off into the woods and go out for an hour and it's fun.
Okay.
So I think I should stop going my old training.
Yeah, of course.
Going to end one way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I still love it. I still love getting out. I don't know, getting older, I just, and doing quite an active, not physical job, but quite active.
Yeah.
I think if I do a 10k run in the morning and have to go to, I just want to lie on the sofa all day in the staff room. I'm not as good. I need to do some exercise where I feel like, you feel good, don't do some exercise, but then I can still be vaguely, have the energy for school, but not so much that I'm just
tired.
It's a fine line.
Fine
line. Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to fit it in with work and everything as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I would exercise every day, but probably just not, but only run once a week, I would say.
Okay. Well. Okay.
Yeah. It's funny though. It's different. It's climbing.
How do you mean climbing?
Well, because like you say, you can't see yourself and not ever doing it.
At the moment, no.
No.
I wouldn't want to.
That love that
I still wouldn't want to do it. So I guess it sounds like somehow through all that, I don't know, and that's me guessing, right? Through all that training and the relentlessness of having to give something up, and that maybe you just like can't be asked now.
Slightly.
And then I guess you say when you go on your old training runs, you compare to your old times. I guess you can't compare yourself to your old self because it's like comparing to a completely different person.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's demotivating, right?
It is. Yeah. And I'm keen on keeping fit and whatever, being healthy, but I think it's just something. Maybe it's just something that I did, and it's now a different stage of kind of.
Were you reluctant to get back into it?
I think so. Yeah, I was. Yeah. But then when I did get back into it, I thought when I was 40, 10 years ago, I thought let's try and get fit and let's maybe do some fell running or in the mountain or whatever. But that couldn't motivate me. The only thing that did motivate me to get fit was doing a fast, flat road 5 mile or 10k on a boring course, which I never, even though it was minutes slower than I used to be able to do, but which was, I felt strange. I didn't think that would be what motivated me to run again. I thought it would be hills, or trail running or whatever, but it wasn't. That didn't. but I feel that might be the case now, because although I get maybe now I'm in a new age category. Sometimes the 50 to 55 veterans might be the motivating factor to get, because last year I was competing against 45-year-olds. Now I'm competing against 54-year-olds. So I'm the bottom end of an age group now.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that mimight be a bit more motivating to get fit again.
Yeah.
But of course you don't have to race to get But then that you do. Then maybe sometimes the motivation, if I enter a race, maybe that's in the diary. Maybe that will motivate me. Let's put some training in. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I do more running when I'm a bit fair weather these days. I probably don't run at all much between November and February.
When it's cold and damp. Perfect day to go running.
Fair weather.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
So with your when you were competing or when you were training, were there any kind of was there anything that you felt mentally was your strength and kind of thought that really helps me?
That's difficult. I think for a couple of years I was, and it was until the kids came around. I think I was probably one of the toughest of the British guys at our level, and I don't quite know why. I think one of my strengths was my toughness, definitely, and again it wasn't for very long, but I think because my times, my 10k, my half marathon times were pretty much on a par with 5 or 10, 12 other guys.
Yeah.
If I could beat them quite easily over the marathon.
Yeah.
I never quite worked out why. It's
okay.
I think my physical makeup, probably genetics, it just helps.
But it's mental, mental toughness, right?
I think my running style was quite good. I think that mental toughness, that motivation I had, that a lot of the guys who could beat me over 10k, weren't able to beat me over the marathon.
Yeah.
I just think the mental toughness, just you either have or you don't. I mean, you can train.
Possibly, yeah.
I was good. I don't. Also, which was I was quite, because a lot of the championships, the Athens, Beijing, Osaka, and Helsinki, Melbourne, where they were all in hot weather.
Yeah.
And I think you can train and you can, but I think for a lot of people you either can run well in the heat or you can't. And I could run well in the heat, just went off a little bit slower, but I could. So those championship races where I did well, were in tough conditions, I think did help me.
Okay.
And it levels the playing field a little bit.
Yeah.
And a nice cool April day in London on a flat course, I'm not going to be as competitive as on a hot hilly course in August, where there's no pacemakers, there's less prize money, blah blah blah. All those things meant I could be more competitive.
So you like discomfort?
It's nice being the one at 35k when you're the one. You feel awful, but you're the one overtaking people.
Yeah.
And coming through.
Yeah.
I think the hottest one was in Osaka in Japan for the World Championships. It was scorching, and that was probably my best race. It was just a slowish winning time, and a slow time is the most for everyone. But yeah, it just suited me.
Okay.
You could just, they'll start. I think that was the race. I think where I was at halfway in the 50s, and I managed to come through to 11th. It's just attrition, keeping going. Yeah, but I think I could just maintain my pace just a little bit better than other people.
Okay.
Because everyone slows up in the last 5 or 10k. It's just I could slow up a little bit less than others.
So do you feel that maybe like previous experiences in maybe any type of sports that you've done before helped you deal with that discomfort?
Maybe. I think maybe being small and trying to play at sport at as high level as I could, which wasn't that high, but you kind of have to be kind of a bit.
Yeah. So we always
a bit chippy, a bit kind of. I was physically, you have to be, because otherwise, it's not going to end well. I mean, obviously, I was the smallest guy on the football pitch, but I found a way to be vaguely effective. And that may be mental as well, mental toughness, kind of, yes.
Having to deal with
it. And you just sort of shrug your shoulders and say, it is, there's a saying, isn't it? Control the controllables. You're the size you are, the size you are.
Yeah.
so it never bothered me.
Yeah.
But maybe that did help with the running later on.
Yeah.
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 It's hard to know, isn't it? 'Cause when you're just in it, you're just, this is because it's normal for me, or
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's somehow. It's a difficult one to sort of quantify, isn't it?
Yeah, see, give me climbing and I can deal with discomfort.
Yeah.
Give me running
Yes.
and I'll just give up because I don't have the motivation.
Yeah, I think I'm the same on the bike. Max, my middle boy,
Yeah.
literally ride the wheels off me.
Yeah, okay.
Easily. And it's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can't fake the motivation.
No, not at all.
You cannot do it. You're thinking, oh yeah, I'm better than you at climbing or whatever. It's but that's,
Yeah.
it's funny, isn't it?
So, were there any mental aspects, like looking back at in your running, that was a weakness of yours that you feel that you could work on or had to work on?
The mental side of it, I'm not sure. I guess what I've alluded to before is sometimes in training when you're tired, mentally it is tough. I know I need to work on my speed, so I need to get to the track or do those hill climbs. But actually, I can almost get the same benefit from just doing what I'm good at, the hilly 10 miler.
Right.
But actually, if I really, really want to get to that next level, I probably should be doing that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a bit of a weakness.
Yeah.
Just sometimes just doing going back to what you're comfortable with and are better at.
Maybe an ego thing as well.
Possibly.
Yeah, feeding the ego.
And I'd be beaten. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. That probably is.
Yeah.
Sometimes in races, I wasn't mentally. I remember a few DNFs where it wasn't going as well. Previously, I'd probably let's tough it out. It's not going to end well, but just do it. But I stepped off the course only twice or so, but it's not, you think, why did I do that? And now that bugs you. All the races you do, and then you just think the two that, and again, that was probably ego. I think one of them I just went off ridiculously too fast.
Yeah.
And just, this isn't going to end well. And then the other one I was probably ego. Well, I probably thought I should be in the top 10 or the top 8, and it was not looking, so I took the easy way out.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often, but they're the sort of the memories you think back on, the ones you
could have done.
You could have done. Yeah. There's only 3. I think there's 3. There's only one marathon I could have. I think it was the European Championships, and it was just it was the same year as I'd won the Commonwealth Games bronze medal in Melbourne. So I was probably on a real high, and it was the European Championships. And with the best one in the world, I was never... The top 3, there was an Italian guy, a Spanish guy and a Swiss guy. I was never going to beat them. I could never beat them. But I could have come in the top... I could have come 4th, 5th or 6th. But I didn't. I ran a totally different... I was talking previously where I started at the back and worked... That race, I didn't do that. I caught the main group up and I went with the leaders at before halfway, and then 20 miles I was done.
Okay.
And I remember the Dutch guy, he did come 4th. He just said, why did you not run your usual race? You could have come 4th or 5th here. I was like, yeah. So that's, but then as my coach said, but then you'd never have known. You might have, then what ifs? If you always run the same way, at least this way, you knew, you found out.
Yeah.
It didn't work out, but at least you went for it.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Do you feel that you're quite a stubborn personality?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Should we ask Jess?
No, that's not. I think so. I think
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think You've got to have a bit of that, haven't you? Sort of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you were to give anyone any kind of advice on mental training, what would be your one go-to thing?
I think it's consistency. It's having that faith in your training. It's consistency. With an endurance sport, it's not that amazing session that you're going to do on Tuesday that's going to transform you. It is toughing out that session or in the rubbish time of year, in the bad weather. It's ticking off those weeks. You don't have to have 10 out of 10, ever have a 10 out of 10 run.
Yeah.
But if you can get 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, week after week, and that is hard.
Yeah.
Because that you don't see that, I think maybe more nowadays people want that instant fix, don't they?
Yeah.
You just don't get that with
Yeah.
endurance sport.
Yeah.
It takes months and years to get there.
I guess for
these young people, there are young British marathon runners doing brilliantly. So it's there, and they're running incredibly fast times and running brilliantly. So but it is having that trust in your training, that consistency, and and then being tough on the race day and executing your plan.
Yeah.
Sticking
to your own plan.
Sticking to your plan.
Yeah. Okay.
I do. That is key.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get ramped up.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Every London marathon or every weight
Yeah.
But having that confidence.
Yeah.
And confidence in your training.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thinking back. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your best race? Most memorable race.
Most memorable. I think we had the Commonwealth Games in Melbourne, and there was some Kenyan guys and Tanzanian guys, and they were brilliant. We were like, I was running with the Aussies and the New Zealand guys, and we were like, off you go, lads, have fun.
Yeah.
And then so the group came, and then after a while, I was still running with that group. One of the Kenyan guys, we saw him, he was injured, and he came back suddenly there were only two of them ahead. I was like, hang on, there's a group of about 4 of us. We're fighting for a medal here. And then it got to 20 miles, and the Aussie guys, the Kiwis, they dropped back. That I think so. The most memorable was I think at 20 miles in the Commonwealth Games marathon, going into bronze medal place, thinking, if I keep going, I'm going to get a medal here.
Yeah.
And then running into the MCG, the big stadium in Melbourne. Australians are quite partisan, aren't they? So when the little English guy ran in, it wasn't quite the ovation. They were like, "Where's the Aussie?" They were like, oh, where's
the Kenyan guy? Yeah,
and an Australian woman had just won the race, so it was absolutely packed, 90,000 in there. Oh my god! So, but it was quite underwhelming when I came in because they were wanting the Aussie guy. But that was pretty memorable, running in there.
Yeah.
Qualifying for the Olympics at London Marathon.
Yeah.
For the first time, that was quite surreal.
So
my best race was probably the World Championships. I came 12th in Helsinki. And then 11th in Osaka. So probably those two as well.
Yeah.
There's probably four races that are hard to distinguish, but probably the medal in Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Pleasure.
I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast with Dan. It was a really nice and inspiring story to listen to, how someone from no running background at all got into kind of the elite game. Dan's very modest, but I think deep down inside he's got a lot of fire, and especially with running. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any suggestions on topics you'd like us to talk about or people you'd like us to interview, please feel free to contact us, send us an email or message us on social media. And until next time.